What's up, YouTube? Robbie Vapes back again, and today we are checking out the Kanger Nebox, the Kanger Nebox. We're checking out this fucking thing, so stay tuned. Alright, that is right, YouTube. We are checking out the Kanger Nebox. How you pronounce that, I have no fucking clue. One thing I want to specify a few things before we start this video off real quick. I do want to say I actually haven't watched any reviews on this device, so I have no idea if I'm butchering the name or not. And the reason why I didn't is I started using this device about a week ago, and I have had nothing but problems with it. Now, in order to make sure that I kept on that path of my own personal review on this and not going into someone else's review on it, I neglected to watch any videos on this device so I could give you the most pure impressions I have and my most honest review on this device as a result. So, with that being said, guys, let's not waste any time and let's just get down and dirty with this thing and check out what it looks like. Alright, YouTube, we are down and dirty with the Kanger Nebox or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Anyways, guys, let's check it out, unbox it real quick, and I will show you what it looks like. Now, it does come with a black Delrin drip tip, which, of course, in true Robbie Vapes fashion, I've already lost it. But that's okay. I actually have a preferred drip tip I'm using instead, so I'll be using that to do the kind of vapor test on it. But basically what you have here, I already got a battery in here. It's already been set up so you can see it. 5 clicks on and 5 clicks off, of course. Here it is in temp control mode. It has the 0.15 ohm stainless steel coil in here, which I do want to mention is obviously reading wrong at 0.21 ohms, which is actually an improvement, which I'll show you in a second here on what it was reading originally, but again, we'll get to that later on. Basically, here you have the drip tip piece right here, the 510 drip tip piece, or your standard drip tip will fit in there, no problem. You also have the pretty much the main attraction of this tank, which is the 10 milliliter tank capacity in here. This tank is non-removable and, of course, uses standard factory Kanger coils only, which to me is a bit of a negative, but I guess if you're really into Kanger coils, you can use it. Now, the one saving grace to this whole thing is that you can use those G-Claptons in here as well, which is a really nice touch, because if you couldn't use those, I'm not actually sure I really like this tank too much. In fact, to be honest, even with that being said, I'm not sure I like this tank or this mod or the combination of both. I do have my battery in here as well, and we'll get to the rest of the device later on. Let's just check out what else you got in the packaging. So below here, you obviously have your USB cable. You have your cotton that they supply with you. You also have your RBA stuff, your screws, your screwdriver. So a couple pre-made coils in here as well, if you can see those. Not sure if you can see them. Let's see if I can get it to focus. A little better there. And of course, you do also get the RBA section here as well, which is just up in here, if I can get it out. RBA section is literally the exact same you get with all the other Kanger products that you can use. So it's the exact same. It does come with a pre-built coil in here as well. If we take this off, I believe the coil reads something like 0.7 ohms or something like that. I really have no interest in this RBA section. To me, I honestly feel like it is not a very well put together RBA section. That is purely my opinion. Your opinion may differ, but I just feel like this is just not well built. It's kind of clumsy and it's super awkward to work on as well. But you've probably already seen that in other videos, so I won't spend too much time looking at that. You do also get another coil included as well. Now, it's my understanding, and I have trouble understanding this because I could be wrong, but my understanding is that both these coils are made of stainless steel, although it's pretty badly labeled. It says it comes with 2 stainless steel OCC coils, I think it's called. But again, if we look at this, see if we can get a close-up on it. Kanger Tech 15 to, I believe that says 50 watts, 0.5 ohms. And turn it around. You have your usual symbols on there. I don't know if you can see it. It's not really showing up on the camera too well. But again, this is a 0.5 ohm. It really doesn't mention it's stainless steel or anything like that. So If we look inside there, we can see there's actually not a lot of cotton around that coil there. I would have actually preferred the coil be a little bit smaller in circumference and maybe had a little bit more cotton packed in there just to get it up to a little bit higher wattage. I feel like the lack of cotton in there is a limitation, but again, that's just my personal opinion. And again, there's the bottom pin connection. Overall, I put this 0.5 in and it was reading out like 0.7 or something like that. Like, it was really bad. And that's one of the biggest cons on this device, is just that it never reads the proper resistance on any of the coils it has. And one thing I will note as well is that this is meant for temperature control. If you try and put the stainless steel coil in on wattage mode, it will actually read it even worse than that, and I'll show you that in a second. But basically, it was reading at 1.33 ohms. That's right, above 1 ohms, 1.33 ohms on the 0.15 coil when I put it on the wattage mode. To change wattage mode, all you have to do is hold these two down. It's now in wattage mode. Oh, no, sorry, that's actually, so what you're doing now, if you just press them down, you're basically just adjusting the wattage for the temperature. If we hold it down, it'll allow you to choose between the two. So we just hold it down, scroll through it, which one you want to pick. These are all temperature control. These are your modes on the left-hand side here. This is temperature control off at 7 watts, temperature control off at 60 watts. You can just kind of pick and choose through there. If we go back to 60 watts, it is still reading at 0.21, but watch what happens when I take this coil out, reset the ohm resistance, and put it back in. Alright guys, we are back. Here we have a flashy little Canadian quarter here. Gotta love them. Nice moose on the tail side, and of course, Queen Elizabeth II on the head side. But like I said, we'll try and take this apart now, move the box out of my way. And again, threading on this is not great, but the battery door is even worse. I'll get to that later on as well to show you what I mean. But we'll take this out in the meantime, reset it, maybe check out the coil that's on here, which is the 0.15 ohm, and put it back in and show you what it reads at in wattage mode. Now I know people are going to argue saying, well, it's not meant to be used in wattage mode, blah, 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 but that shouldn't make a difference when reading the ohms. The ohms should always be read the same if you're using a decent ohm calculator, I guess, on the device. So here we go. Here it is. Hopefully you can see that. Again, it's not the greatest coil. I mean, it's a Kanger coil. If you like the Kanger coils, you're going to probably like this device, but if you don't, the fact that you can't change out the coil, I really wish it had more options for the coils, because to me, forcing someone to use your own coils and only yours is a super big pain in the ass. But anyways, to reset this, all we have to do, it's on, hit it. You can see here it's reading up 9.999 ohms. So what this is going to do is reset the ohm count, and this is, as far as I know, the only way it will actually reset. I've actually put in the other coil, and without hitting the button, put it back in, and it started reading the same as this one. So it is seriously flawed in the ohm reading portion of this. We've got it nice and tight in there. We have it in, and new coil, yes. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me see if I can get it to focus more. Sorry, not even new coil, new load. Oh, and it is reading correctly this time. So that is actually a shocker. When I first put this in, it was reading at 1.33 ohms. Now I guess it corrected itself, and of course, because it's on camera, it's not going to work. But yeah, it was very brutal. Either that or I accidentally hit old load, and it just loaded up the previous ohm. But in the past, I put it in, and it was reading at 1.33 ohms. You're going to have to take my word on it, of course. But anyways, moving on from there, we also have a charger port for your battery for your single 18650. So if you don't want to take it out, which I highly suggest not doing because it is a pain in the ass getting it back in, you can just charge it through here. You have your firing button, of course, as well. Lets you fire it. Not too bad. Sounds like a little bit of gurgling, but it's actually not super bad. We'll take it back up top and show you some firing modes on here. And actually that's probably why, because I had it way too high. So let's actually turn it back to temp control mode. And let's see here. Okay, mode. Oh, and I just found out that I can now change modes differently. Mode 1 nickel, mode 2 titanium, and mode 3 wattage, which is interesting because these are stainless steel coils, and yet it doesn't appear to be giving you that option. So I have no idea what I did there, but whatever I did, I'm sure I fucked it up somehow. You also have the option of Celsius and Fahrenheit, of course. So we'll just scroll through here. Temperature on, we're going to do Fahrenheit. And if my camera can actually continue that, we're going to change the wattage from 7 watts. There we go, 7 watts all the way up to about 45 watts. It is pretty slow to change, but it's not too bad. I've actually had worse, so just bear with me here as it cycles through up to 45 watts. 45 watts, there we go. Turn it back, turn it down to roughly about, I'm going to say about 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, I hate this in Fahrenheit. There we go, okay. Again, you can still hear that little bit of gurgling up top, but it is what it is. Moving on, let's turn off the device here. Turn it off and show you just how much of a pain in the ass this battery door is. The threading on this is just so bad. I mean, you can hear, I'll be quiet and let you hear it grind a little bit. I mean, that is like pretty much just stripping its own threading. Hopefully you could hear that, but again, it's just such a nightmare putting this thing on and off because it never catches right. Got the battery in there as well, using a Sony VTC4. And we go to try and put it back on and watch what happens. I mean, first of all, trying to do this with your fingers, it's just not going to happen. And again, it's getting caught every single time I try and turn it. It goes on an angle, just doesn't want to go flat. So what you kind of have to do is push it in with both fingers on both sides. And if you don't do it enough, you can see it just fucking pops back up like this. So you really have to make sure you get at least a full turn in, which is going to be very tough to do with a camera sitting in front of me. But hopefully I can get it. I mean, this is just so bad. Oh, and like I said, it's still not in. Like, this fucking thing just does not want to go in. So I'm going to have to take this off camera to try and get it back in place. Honestly, no exaggeration, this will take me at least 10 to 15 minutes trying to get it in perfectly because it is just such a shitty built design and just super bad. So let me take it off camera, try and get this fucking thing back on, and then we'll take it back up top and we'll finish off the review from there. Alright YouTube, we have done the down and dirty section, and as I'm pretty sure you can tell, my thoughts on this device are very poor. I can pretty much summarize this in one sentence. This is a gimmick. Yes, it sounds great having 10 ml juice capacity, and I agree, it's been one thing I would have loved to have seen over and over again, and it hyped me up so much when I bought this thing, I didn't even think about the cons that I already knew were going to be in place. For example, you're stuck with the one tank, which is built in. You're stuck with pretty much only Kanger sub-tank coils, which again, if you're a fan of sub-tank coils, great. This is a decent device with that being said. If you're like me and you never really were a fan of them, you feel like they're kind of overhyped a little bit, they've pretty much been outdone over and over again, in my personal opinion, by other coils out there. And the fact they're not really willing to change that, I mean, it looks like they're going after a certain market, and that is the 30 to 45 to 50 watt vape range. And if that's your vaping style, there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing at all wrong with that. But I really wish Kanger would go after the bigger market and allow for their devices to go just a little bit higher up and capture that higher wattage market that they're missing out on. Again, that's just my personal opinion on it. I don't know how you feel about them. Maybe you love Kanger sub-tank coils, maybe you don't. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on these coils, just in general. Now they did change up a little bit and they included the 0.15 ohm stainless steel coil, which sounds great, except we already saw in the down and dirty section, they don't even have stainless steel and temperature control. They only have nickel and titanium, so why include a stainless steel coil? And then I originally thought it was supposed to be used in wattage mode, but if you try and use a stainless steel coil in wattage mode, it ends up going to 1.3 ohms, which is clearly misreading it on a 0.15 ohm coil. It makes no sense whatsoever. I was told, now I don't know if this is right or not, I was told the stainless steel on this device, these coils, were strictly meant for temperature control. If that's the case, then I have to ask, why wouldn't you include stainless steel temperature control on this device? Don't give me a product that isn't complete. Don't give me a product that is lacking. Now, above all else, we've talked about the coils enough. Let's move on to my next biggest con, and that is the battery compartment. There is a trick to it, and as I went from down and dirty mode up to up top mode, I did find out that if you are very meticulous and you push down exactly evenly between on either side of the coin when you're tightening it, it does go along much better. Now, if you're not pushing down evenly, or if you're just kind of holding the coin loose and not pushing on the battery door itself, then you're pretty much going to be fucked, and it's going to take you forever to get this battery door back on. It's as simple as that. I feel like they could have done a much better job on the threading on this. I feel like it's kind of just shady built. Like, it just feels cheaply made. And I don't know what they retail for in your area, but in my area, they retail in Calgary for anywhere between $80 and $90, which at first glance I didn't think was that bad, but after seeing just how poorly it's been built, and again, just the fact that the ohms are off every time, no matter what coil you use in there, it's always going to be off. The fact that just the battery door, the overall kind of look of this isn't bad. But again, I feel like you're overpaying for it at $80 to $90. And again, maybe in the States it's half that price. Maybe it's even a third of that price. I don't know. I really don't know what the market is in the States, because I haven't really looked too much. But all I know is what I paid for it. And I paid about $85 for this thing, which again, to me, it's overpriced. It's a gimmick. It's a cool little, design on it. I like the feel of it. I like how how everything's located. The fire button's in a good place. And I'll show you a quick vape here. This is at 450 degrees Fahrenheit at 45 watts. It's not a terrible vape, but it's just, the flavor is decent, but on other stainless steel coils I've used, for example, like the Crown Tank, it just gives so much better flavor out of it. It gives such a better, clean vape. This one, I feel it's almost like a dirty vape. It doesn't feel as good as what it should. I did wash this out as much as I could, which, I don't know, guys. It's 10 ml juice capacity tank with a half-ass mod built around it. Let's put it that way. A 10 milliliter tank with a half-ass mod built around it. You be the judge if you want to go out and purchase something like this. If you like it, great, let me know. If you've already purchased one of these, let me know what your thoughts are. Maybe you have a different experience than I did. I haven't watched the reviews, like I said. Maybe I'm the only person reviewing this in a negative manner. I don't know. And if I am, I'm just going off of my experience with this device. And my experience so far has been it feels cheap. It feels plasticky. It feels just poorly built. The threading is absolutely brutal on this. One positive about this is that it doesn't leak, which is a major plus, because the air hole is right underneath here on the bottom. So if you leave it set like this all the time, you'd expect it to leak, but it actually doesn't, which is a very big plus in my mind. At least they got that right. The Delrin drip tip it came with, I loved it. I really wish I didn't misplace it. It's just a black Delrin drip tip, very simple, but it works. The overall battery life on this is decent. It's not the worst. I would say I get about 3.5 to 4 hours out of this at this 450 degrees Fahrenheit 45 watt setting that I have it on. If you try and go much higher, you are going to burn the coil. You're going to have a burnt taste on it. It's not going to be pleasant. And all in all, the Kanger Nebox, my overall impressions, honestly, would I go out and buy this again? I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. There's so many better devices on the market right now. In fact, I would actually choose the sub box over the Nebox for me personally. Now, I know this isn't meant for advanced vapors, and it's kind of got this target market toward those either lower wattage vaping style vapors or somewhere in the beginner range vapors as well. But to me, it's just really badly built. It feels cheap. It doesn't look super bad, but it doesn't look super great either. Again, all I can say about it is it's a 10 mil tank with a half-assed mod built around it, and I'll leave it at that. So with that being said, guys, I've taken a vape off it. I've told you my thoughts on it. Overall, should you go out and buy this thing? I'll leave that up to you. I do try and make my reviews as unbiased as possible. This one might be coming across a little bit more biased, I do admit, but hopefully it still gives you the details and the information you need to make this decision on your own. With that being said, let's end the video there. And of course, as always, thank you for watching YouTube, and happy vaping.